Well, here we are, Monday, and I want to begin this reflection with a prayer of thanksgiving for God to really take care of bringing our country through a smooth transition to power. And really now, the real work begins, and I think in many respects the battle is going to only intensify. Why? Because there's such an awakening going on, and with that awakening comes those who are feeling like they're losing power they're going to go for broke. And so I think we're going to find ourselves with a real battle for what the truth is. We're going to have two competing voices. What is the truth about this, about that? And so we need to be very discerning in that. What I want to focus on today, though, is a word that President Trump mentioned during his inaugural speech. And he mentioned there being basically a new or a renewed patriotism in the country. And I know many have been alarmed by, he's they're ridiculous statements, he's a Hitler or whatever, which is nonsense. He's a man who clearly wants to see America and its people have its own freedom and see that freedom in the world, not to expand itself. And so, but he talks about patriotism. So what is patriotism? To help us to understand that, because people will use this word in a wrong sense. Patriotism comes from a Latin word, patria, and it refers to the word father. And so, and what's really interesting is that St. Thomas Aquinas, he talks about patriotism when he speaks of the virtue of piety. And piety really ties in that sense of religion, of what we owe to God. So, patriotism refers to what do we owe our country. And because piety also speaks of a love of the Father, a love of God, a love of the Trinity, and love of our neighbor, so it is that patriotism needs to be understood. And so when we're looking at patriotism and our role as citizens, especially as Catholic citizens, one of the greatest services that we can do for our country is to help others to understand what true patriotism is. And that is first and foremost a love of God the Father. St. John Adams, our second president, John Adams, he said, our Constitution is made only for a moral and religious people. And religion speaks to that virtue that binds us back to God, religio, like we get the word ligament. So it binds us back to God. And so piety ties into the love that we owe. So a patriotism is first having the right order, and that is first God. God is our first father, and we receive all things from him. And then, who do we love? Our earthly father, our patria, our parents. And so that love then in the family is second. And then from that flows an authentic love of country. Why? Because that love has connected to it a love of our neighbor. And the greatest love that we can have for our neighbor is to will and desire the highest good for them. And what is that? That is communion with God. So the more we work every day to have an authentic love for the Father, to have an authentic love for our family, then we will see this charity flow out. And like President Trump said, we will see each other in a different light, where one person's suffering is another person's suffering, another person's success is our success. But it's understood within this hierarchy of God the Father, our parents, and our family, and then it flows out to the country. When our country rediscovers this, we truly will be a light to the nations.